Time to head further south. I want to find the smaller villages off the beaten track. This is the Marmari, reputedly wild and remote and dangerous. This is Mazapos, with its tiny swimming cove. The couple are making the most of it. In the distance is the tigani, or frying pan. I continue down a narrow road at the back of the village. Along the coast, not knowing quite where I'll end up. Ah, a castle. It looks like a traditional Marmari tower, but as the sign was only in English, I guess it must be a hotel. Down, 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 towards the sea. This must be Gerolimenas. Another clear invitation for a swim. Just look at that clear water. It's lovely, but I just need to get on. I just have to stop and admire the view. I've arrived at the Marmari Paradise Resort Hotel. Not many guests about, but now it's definitely time for a swim. Dinner time. I'm the only one in the restaurant as I enjoy a jug of wine and a tranquil outlook to the sea. My goodness, it's raining buckets. Just as well I got my swim in yesterday. It's a short drive down to the southernmost tip of the Marmari and, indeed, of mainland Greece. I wonder what the Death Oracle is all about. If I had more time, and why don't I would walk the half hour it takes to get to the lighthouse. Today, I'm heading north again. First stop is to take a look at the tower houses of Vathia. Here, feuding clans waged war with each other, one lasting 40 years and claiming 100 lives. There are so many excuses to stop along the way. So much beauty, so much rubbish too. Well, now I'm off the hectic road from up through Stupa and coming into Kalamata, which was full of traffic and lots of curves and goodness knows what. So now I'm on the direct mountain road from Kalamata to Sparti with a view to stopping off at Mystra. And so this is also going to be very high and curvy, but hopefully a little bit less traffic. And so I'm just going to stop off see if I can find a place to have a pee at the moment. This is the Lengada Pass, the route Telemachus took in search of his father, Odysseus. Again, hardly a soul on the road, except for that van in front of me. It's starting to rain again in sunny Greece. Ah, the van is pulling off. Must remember to go back onto the right-hand side. High up in the mountains, the vegetation has changed. I must be near the summit now. I'll pull off for a moment. There's a memorial to some fighters, whom I guess were part of the Greek resistance against the German occupation. Well, here is the misty mountain top. The restaurant and motel don't look very inviting. More traffic up ahead. Hi kids. This reminds me of a terrifying ride I once took with my 2 children on a bus on a rainy night down the Taroko Gorge in Taiwan. It seems this is the turn-off to Mystra. The Byzantine town stretches up on the mountainside on the right. This is the nearby modern village where I'll be staying the night. Oops, did I just drive down the wrong side of the road? Mystra is made up of a lower town, an upper town and a castle. I've enough time left today to explore the castle and the upper town. It's a hefty climb, all right. The castle was built by the Franks in the 13th century. Oops! Here we can imagine lords, knights and ladies. Not classical Greece at all. Far below is Sparta, the town to which the inhabitants moved in the 19th century, leaving Mystra abandoned. Below is the upper town, the palace of the despots. Despot doesn't have the same meaning as it does today. It just means rule was taken by force. The snow-capped peaks of Mount Taygetos. I'm now in the upper town, wandering round the ruins of once were magnificent buildings in a bustling town of 20,000. Saint Sophia, the official church of the palace. The palace is being restored. Looks like they're doing a really good job, but does mean it is closed to visitors. I had a wonderful sleep last night in the shadow of the mountain. Soon I'm back at the ancient site. This time I'm in the lower town. It's very quiet this early. At the moment, there's no one else around. These are ruins of what must have been grand houses. Most of what remains and has been restored are churches. One of the most impressive is the metropolis, the cathedral of the city. Yes. Apparently the Turks were terrified of him. There's a connection with Dimitsana, where I plan to be later today. The frescoes in the cathedral are magnificent. High in the dome, Christ in his majesty, surrounded by... who? Next to the cathedral is a museum
which is not open at present. Nearby is the church of the Evangelista, the church of Saints Theodora, two saints with the name of Theodora, that is, and the church of the Annunciation. Higher up the hill is the Peloponnese, a monastery still in use. Good grief! What was that? Oh, hello! Here, the Byzantine monastic tradition is still practiced. Another monastery, that of Perileptos, built into the rock face, under the shade of the trees, a Turkish fountain, and steps which lead up to what was once a busy and prosperous city. I'm heading north to Dimitsana in Arcadia. At 3,000 feet, hopefully a bit cooler than the 30-degree heat I'm experiencing here.
Up into the mountains again.
I'm stopping for lunch here at Gerolimenas. I'm feeling quite bad as I ran over a tortoise earlier. Poor thing. Anyway, I enjoyed a Greek salad and some water here, with this couple the only other customers. Onwards towards Dimitsana. I thought there was a road here back to the main route, but it seems I'm going to have to stay here on the back roads. This looks like a nice shady spot next to a river. Would have made a pleasant picnic spot. Here's whom I'm sharing the road with pretty much these days. Things are very relaxed in Greece. It's all Greek to me, but Google Maps says turn off here. Yep, Dimitsana in 16 kilometers. The road is getting distinctly narrow, now starting to look like a farm track. Great, back on the tar again. First car I've seen in ages. I always seem to pass traffic in the small villages. Perhaps people just drive from one end to the other. Here we are, Dimitsana. It's the gentleman I'll see many times as I walk up and down this road in the next 2 days. I'm parked up just outside the Philosophu monastery. Not a soul in sight, except for the inevitable cat. It's the start of a trail into the Louisa's Gorge, leading to a monastery, the monastery of Prodromo. Halfway down, there's a path leading to the old Philosopho monastery. Seems it was hidden away from the Turks. Getting a bit out of breath now. The monastery is built into the cliffside and is no longer occupied. It seems this is a small chapel, not very welcoming. According to the ancient traveller Pausanias, this river is where Zeus was bathed as an infant. It's also said to be the coldest river in the world. Ooh. I catch my breath and prepare for the steep climb up to the monastery. This is Prodromo. Wow, really stunning. It's a living and working monastery, and I'm welcomed by a young monk with an American accent. Two men are setting off on a journey on a donkey. Right, now for the hike back up the gorge. Later that afternoon, I visit the open-air water power museum. Power was used for this leather factory. The hides went through various processes, including one using pig poo. There's also a gunpowder mill, started by that troublesome priest Ananias from Mystra. It's a short walk back into the village, surrounded by the quietness of the mountains. Dimitsana has one of the oldest libraries in the world, very useful in the revolt against the Ottomans. The manuscripts were used to make gun cartridges. Not a lot to do here, so I take a walk around the village. Looks like I'm not the first foreign visitor to Dimitsana. My last night in the mountains. Tomorrow, Corinth, on my way back to Athens. Looks a lot brighter this morning. Down at the bottom of the gorge is the huge power station outside Megapolis. It's not too long a drive to Corinth. Just north of Tripoli, I'll join the motorway. The imposing walls and gateway to Corinth, high up on the hill above ancient Corinth. It's Sunday, so there are lots of families about, and it's also an EU free museum day, so no charge to get in. It's a huge site, with the remains of buildings all over the place. I want to explore and get away from the noisy crowds. It's hot and dry, and I don't find that much of interest. Alas, I miss the underground spring, the fountain of Parini. The views out to sea are magnificent, though. At the bottom of the hill, I find ancient Corinth itself. Even in the time of COVID, there are visitors following in the footsteps of St. Paul. Right now, I'm more interested in getting something to eat. Fortunately, the waitress soon has a Greek salad in front of me and a welcoming cup of tea. I'm not sure I'm up to traipsing around any more ancient ruins in this heat. Another cup of tea. Now I've checked into my B&B with air conditioning and a shower. Much later in the afternoon, I'm back in the town. Past the fountain of Glauke near the entrance, there's a museum. How did they do all that drapery? The Temple of Apollo, 6th century BC, is one of the oldest surviving temples in Greece. The rest of the place is the Agora, or market. In St. Paul's Day, this would have been the Forum. The bema is the platform from where he preached. And here is the fountain of Parini, thought to be connected to the spring of the same name in the Corinth, the one I missed this morning. And finally, the Lycaean Road, which used to lead to the port of the same name. Tomorrow, I'll be driving to my own port of departure. En route to the airport, I'm amongst a busload of tourists, taking a quick look at the Corinth canal. I got a bit lost and found myself crossing the submersible bridge across the canal. I also missed the turn off to the airport and found myself in a dusty town further on to the south. Still, I made it onto my flight, wondering why I had been in such a rush and not spent a couple more weeks driving around the Peloponnese. Back in the UK, I voluntarily self-isolated at an airport hotel at Gatwick for a week to keep my partner Margie safe, which didn't put me off exploring the area. And then it was nice to be home again. "You'll go to Greece again in April," says Margie. April came and went, but the pandemic didn't. Travel is not on the cards for the foreseeable future.
It's no story. It's okay.